How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Fourever Arsenal podcast. Bright and early Monday morning, transfer windows booming. Sesko Gyökeres.
I'm so glad we're finally going to break this down.
Finally, we'll get people's thoughts on Sesko Gyökeres. Who the better fit, maybe? Who scores the more goals? Who knows? We're here to talk about it, people. The place that breaks all the news every single day. But yeah, what are we doing here, gents? What are we doing? Lee, you don't seem impressed at all.
Oh, don't get
do you know what? I think this. I'm going to say it now. This transfer window so far has been a shambles. It's been a shambles, and people will say, "Oh, why are you saying that?" It's a shambles on the back of January. You know what I mean? Like this, don't know who they've got, can't agree fees, can't agree wages. Talk about putting things in contracts, and all this should have all been sorted out months and months ago. And we still don't know who we're going to get. And do you know what, Les? I don't know about you, but wherever I go now, we're going to sign a striker. Played a charity game yesterday. That was everybody say, when are we going to sign someone? When are we going to sign someone? I went to McDonald's for grub yesterday, you know what I mean? Fella serving me goes, when are we going to sign someone? I'm getting fed up with it, you know what I mean? It's like we're it's a bit of a joke at this moment in time. And really, I know we've all said it at the times, but really, I want to go. I know it sounds silly. I know it's the transfer window's going on. I want to go into this season thinking that we've got a chance of winning the league. At this moment in time, I don't think we have. And more importantly, and the biggest thing for me, I don't think the club is that bothered about winning the league now. On the back of what happened in January, I feel like they threw it away. Well, we ain't going to win it. We're not bothered by it. We ain't going to buy this. We ain't going to buy that. And, you should be chomping at the bits to sign players and everything like that. They should be lining them up now, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's not FIFA, Lee.
No. Well, look, other teams do it, and we've done it in the past. You know what I mean? 2 seasons ago, we done it with Declan Rice, Timber, your mate Havertz. We've done it all bosh. That is the sort of thing we've got to do again, and we're not doing it. Like the Zubimendi one, look, we know it's done, but other clubs are announcing things. Why can't we? And it's not like people going, well, it's about this and it's about that.
Because we're respecting holidays and the time off that people need. What a club.
Yep. Is that what it is?
There was actually a report that said, I think it was Gary Jacob in the Telegraph, that Arsenal aren't panicking. They're expecting that people have time off and holidays and things going on, and they're confident things will happen. I mean, that did make me chuckle. By the way, nothing on Gary Jacob. He's telling us the situation, but that's the most Arsenal thing ever, isn't it? They're on holiday. Let them another time. Do you know, Lee? Let me start by saying a week, maybe 2 weeks ago on the pod, I said, I'm not panicking. I'll give it to start of pre-season and then I'll see. I'm not panicking. And when we talk about panicking, I don't actually think any of us four are panicking. No one's walking around the street sort of like all stressed because, it's 23rd of June and things aren't happening. But I was really firmly of the belief a week or two ago that they wanted Sesko. That was their number one. And that Gyökeres was an option. They might go for that if it made more sense, but they were scouting the market, whatever. When I look at the reports over the last week or two, we'll go through some of them. I think they actually might genuinely be torn on which one they want. And that's really concerning. I thought it was going to be Sesko. Graham and I did a breakdown on him. And I think there's a lot. I genuinely think there's a lot about Sesko I really, really like. And researching him made me think, yeah, that's a better fit than Gyökeres for me. But at this point, I just want them to know who they want. I mean, that's where I'm going to get confidence. Them going, this is the guy, this is why we saved our money in January, and this is who we're doing everything to get. They're not similar players, Sesko and Gyökeres. So what are they? What's the toss-up? Just the better deal? That's terrifying. Is it literally just, well, Gyökeres will come for 60 million, on 200 grand a week, whereas Sesko wants 250 grand a week and it's going to cost 75. But if Sesko's the one you really want, then is that's why I'm starting to get a bit concerned, because I'm thinking, hold on. I was operating on the impression that we could be patient because you're trying to get the right one. Actually, I think they're really weighing up the two deals and just going, well, which one's the better one? Which one should we do? They will completely alter the way Arteta's got to set up this team next season. If you've got Sesko, you've got someone who is more likely, we don't know how it translates to the Premier League, but more likely to get more out of Saka, out of Martinelli, and hopefully a new left winger. Rice and Erdegaard could bomb on beyond. If you go Gyökeres, those players start to sit a bit deeper because it's Gyökeres who makes the runs. It's Gyökeres who holds the penalty area. It's Gyökeres who you are playing towards getting those major numbers. Not a Saka, not a winger, not dispersed around the team. It's going to completely change things. So what's Arteta thinking about this? So I'll be honest, I'm starting to feel a bit like, oh no, you didn't throw away January to really not have a clue what you wanted to do this window, did you? Because it's starting to look more and more like that. But that's as far as my panic will go. But I do have concerns.
See, we've got to wait till July 1st, though, James, because it's the new financial year. And, you know, as well as respecting the club's holidays, we are also respecting the books of other clubs as well. So we must wait. We must wait. Jordan, you know all about this stuff. You're in, you know, the mainstream side of things. So tell these stuff. We have to wait till 1st of July. This ain't FIFA. It's not a supermarket either. Some people think it's supermarket sweep. Remember that guy? What was his name? Del Winton or something, running through
the big up Del Winton. Pretending that you didn't know. You pretending you watched it every week.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it come out very quick, didn't it? I've Del Winton.
It did. Supermarket sweep, my old nan. She did supermarket sweep, but yeah, times have changed now. We can't sweep anything anymore. We've got to wait around and respect everyone's time, holidays, the weather, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, Jordan, talk to us, man. We're here again to talk about the same thing again.
I was bored of this 4 weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? So now I'm just like doing my nut. I'm a little bit with James in as far as, I mean, I'm not panicking, but considering the work that we had to do going into this new season, we haven't really set the transfer market alight. I mean, I'm not the sort of person that needs a transfer window to excite me. You know, exciting transfers are exciting, but I'm not too bothered about necessarily being excited. What I'm more bothered about is being prepared for war. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like we're ready for the battle ahead. I don't need 300 million pound signings to get me going. I don't need a big name to come in to get me going. What I need is the right guys that are coming in that make me think this squad can compete for the title next season. That's all I need. I don't care if they're no-name players. I don't care if they're 8.5 million pound players. I don't care about price tags. I don't care about profile. I care about just get the right guy. And to, as James said, to be batting between two strikers who I was told for weeks and weeks, no. That the guy they want has always been Sesko. The Gyökeres thing was always the rumor. To now, what James is saying with the reports, so that the club potentially don't know who they want, or they're batting between who the better deal is. That for me feels kind of borderline criminal. So
yeah, it does.
I just don't understand why
it feels amateurish, Jordan. It feels really amateur.
It does.
Well, which one? Like, and I was like, surely they're not doing that. But with every report, it feels more and more like that is what they're doing.
Listen, I understand that if that was.
Sorry, I cut you, Jordan. Sorry.
No, go.
But not after January. It's amateurish after January. Like, if it was, they bought, I don't know, Watkins in January, and now they're like, I'm an R and who they're going to get. That's a different kettle of fish. It's on the back of January. That's the thing. I'm not panicking, but it's on the back. Everything to me was ruined in January, and this is your time to make it up. You know what I mean? And they're not. And as you say, they're differing and don't know what they're doing. That's where it looks poor, boys, in my opinion.
Go, Jordan. I interrupted you once. Sorry, carry on.
No, I just wanted to kind of make the final point that one thing where I will give them potentially a little bit of grace in the sense that I watched a supporters club recently, Turkish, that you guys did.
Yeah.
And there was a young lady on your panel who made a point, who made a really good point that I've always kind of stood by, which was we can all speculate about how much money the club have got. We can speculate about what the club are going to do. We can all speculate and have these podcasts and channels and chat about what we think is going to happen, but we don't actually know. So we put a lot of energy into getting angry about why they're not spending this, why they're not bought him. But we as fans don't actually know. We think the club have got 200 mil to spend, 150. We think that, but we don't. They might have 400 mil to spend. They might have 100 mil to spend and have got to sell before they can. We just don't know. So I'm always a little bit reluctant to go with too much chest with why aren't we buying him? Why aren't we spending this? We've got that amount to spend. Because the facts are, none of you guys have the accounts. We don't know what there is to spend. We can presume based off of Champions League money income, Premier League money income. We can do the maths and kind of speculate about what we think the budget to spend is there, but we don't actually know. So that being said, I want to just make the point that it's all well and good us saying we should do that, we have to do this, but we don't actually know what we've got to spend. We don't know that. However, what we do know is there's money to spend on a striker. We know that much, and this dithering stuff is just and it's just embarrassing. And my kind of final point would be, I was thinking about it this week. I've said from the get-go, I'm not really excited. I'm not really enthused by Šeško or Gyökeres. I don't really want either of them, right? If you're going to outlay 80 mil, and it looks like it's going to be an 80 million pound signing on whatever striker you get, if you're going to outlay 80 mil, I think you might as well go all in and just try and, I know it's an old conversation, but try and get Isak. Go for the guy that gives you the best chance of scoring 25, 30 goals. You sign Isak, there's a high chance he's getting you 25 goals for Arsenal this season. If you're not going to go for the guy that gives you that best chance, I'd almost go the other way. And in terms of value for money, I'd almost go and get a striker that maybe isn't known, is young, but you take a guy. I'm thinking Nicolas Anelka. I'm thinking go and find a guy that you can go and get for 25 mil, who's got a good record at his level, who you think, you know what, can shock the world. Go the other way. Now, people will say, oh, yeah, but you might then get a Sanogo. That's true as well. But 80 mil for Gyökeres or Šeško for me doesn't really provide me with value for money, in my opinion. They're not needle movers. If you're spending 80 mil plus, you might as well go all in and get the guy that pretty much guarantees you 25 goals next season. Otherwise, I've not watched any of the football, none of the Club World Cup or the under 21s, but you can't tell me there's not a gem in those two competitions that no one's looking at, no one's spotted. Go and find the new Anelka. Go and get the 19-year-old guy that's going to actually just bad the whole league up and shock the world. It's a gamble, but I think financially it's a bigger gamble to spend 80 mil on Gyökeres or Šeško. So people won't like the idea of getting a no-name striker in, but I just don't see value for money in either of those two strikers, in my opinion.
I'm not having that. Sorry, Jordan. I love you, but I'm not having that. You know what I mean? Like
you think Šeško and Gyökeres?
I don't care who they get. Like, you know what I mean? I'll spend a lot of money on my season ticket. They're asking fans to spend out on football shirts. New warm-up tops have come out this week. Splendid, by the way. Absolutely lovely. Like, you know, you keep asking the fans to spend, and then when it comes to your turn to do it, you're not doing it, and you're scrimping and saving. I just think it's not right. It's not right.
But spending a lot of money on a striker doesn't necessarily mean
they spent a lot of money on anybody.
No, they haven't. But the point I'm making is that I think just because we spend a lot of money, us saying, well, then you spend a lot of money, doesn't equate, because the guy they're going to spend a lot of money on, I don't think moves the needle. I think it'll be a waste of money. I think it'll be a waste. I think 80 mil on Gyökeres, 80 mil on Šeško gets you third, gets you second. Those guys are not needle movers.
They might be. They probably are.
They might be, but it's a lot of money for a might be.
Yeah, but that's where we are. We're at that roll the dice stage. Like Gyökeres' numbers are now at a level for Sporting where you go, all right, well, we need goals, so he's kind of worth the gamble. Šeško has scored the kinds of goals. When I look at the goals he's scored, the things he's done in his young career, I go, that is the kind of talent that's worth the gamble. I'd rather that than say. And I actually like Ollie Watkins. I said it in January. I like Ollie Watkins. But I'd rather that where I see a potential for like an explosion. Whereas Watkins, I think Watkins, you're kind of hoping he comes in and just does what he's been doing. Like that would kind of be like, oh, wow, okay, good. At the moment, I think people are worried that maybe he won't even hit that. So
well,
I prefer.
Why would he? Sorry, Scott. Why would someone like Watkins not score 20 odd goals for Arsenal if he's getting pretty much that at Villa?
Because Emery, because Emery has always worked brilliant with strikers, whether it be Moreno at Villarreal, Aubameyang, whoever he's had before. There was a Sevilla striker. He's always been very good at getting the most out of nines, and Arteta isn't. And I think Watkins will be asked to do a different thing. But that's probably true of Sesko and Gyökeres too. I don't. But I like Watkins. I wanted him in January. I thought that was a really good move for us. I think we should have done that. At 50, 60 million. And I think you still go into this summer looking to add another. I think that would have been perfect squad building but people say we've got Kai Havertz and Jesus to come back eventually. So I don't know. I mean, it's worth saying for anyone listening that the reports, and we were talking about this before recording, the reports have got interesting. This is what's kind of sparked a little bit of worry in me. So Alan Nixon, who I think's got a Patreon, is quite on it with transfer stuff, said that Arsenal and Sesko aren't aligned on personal terms. That's true. I find that crazy. I mean, what have we been doing? How could we not have known all this over the last year? Alex Crook has said that his information is that Gyökeres is confident he's going to be moving to Arsenal, has told friends and family, thinks he's moving to Arsenal, something like that. And then how much you want to get into the ITK stuff, but Hand of Arsenal is kind of the only one I'd really put a lot of stock in. If it's any kind of clue, he's gone and put and apologies for not knowing the official terms, the 2 dots over the O that Gyökeres has, he's gone and done that in his name, which signals some kind of clue. And some of you might laugh and go, oh, James, you're getting hung up on that. But come on, people know things and whatever. The point is, I just thought this was all leaning towards Sesko. Now it looks like it's leaning towards Gyökeres. Fine. But how have we got here? And also I'd add that this Thomas Partey thing doesn't fill me with confidence whatsoever, because this was someone who nothing in terms of contract talks or anything coming out around Partey and his situation till April. Suddenly it's actually we want to offer him a new deal. We want to keep him. Suddenly it's looking like he will sign, and you're thinking, okay, well, that's a player we don't need to replace. To out of sort of nowhere on Thursday, he's not. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. And that's another area we now need to address. And I still think we needed another midfielder anyway. And you think of that, and you talk about squad planning, and you talk about Arteta saying we have our plans for the summer, we know what we want to do. Again, I don't want to use the word lie. I mean, that's kind of really strong. But it's like, but you didn't know what you wanted to do, because none of you know Partey's situation. And him leaving quite drastically changes what we need to do to that midfield, because replacing him is going to cost money. So the fact that when did the season end? A month ago. The fact that we're a month past the season ending and we don't know what striker we want. We don't know if we need to replace Thomas Partey. We don't know if our lead target on the left wing, Rodrigo, is available. Williams is gone. It's like, well, the plans can't have been that solid. And that's quite concerning.
I mean, they were so prepared for keepers, though, because Garcia wasn't on it. So we said, what's plan Z in the keeper list? Oh, Kepa, bring him in. Whereas every other list is plan A and a half, and that's it. We don't even reach plan B. So I don't know how this works out. I'll be real. But
that also speaks to, which I think is kind of my wider point about our club and scouting. Why is it that we kind of don't have a kind of list of strikers that
on that?
Do you know what I mean? That we can get. And again, I repeat, I don't care for name brand strikers, but why have Arsenal not got a network of strikers that they can tap into once they decided, if they have decided that Gyökeres or Sesko may not be the guy? Why? Because you try know somebody out of this Club World Cup or under 21s is going to play for a team this season in the Premier League, and we'll be sitting here in December saying, well, why didn't we see him? Why didn't this striker that's got 9 goals, 10 goals by December? Why haven't we got him? We used to be the kings of scouting untapped talent. We were the dons at discovering talent and them doing really well and then moving them on. Why is our list now restricted to Sesko and Gyökeres? And I don't like the fact that we've kind of always been dumbed down to accepting that these are the 2 guys we have to get. Why are these the 2 options that we're kind of like? A year ago, we were strongly linked to getting Isak, and I know I keep bringing him up. But why have we gone to Isak strong links dithering between these two strikers. I'm telling you, I'm really not enthused by any of these two guys. And I think we've been dumbed down into thinking that these are the guys we have to settle for. And I'm telling you, I don't think any of them win us a Premier League title. I mean, no striker can guarantee you a title. But I don't think top two even for me is looking techie right about now.
About top two as well. Anyway, who the fuck cares about that? But we've been dumbed down over this Emirates era. We've been dumbed down over this ownership, and it not culminates in this, because this is what I've seen many a time over the Emirates era. But I think you said something, and Lee said he disagrees with the price he pays and what I used to pay going week in, week out, or even what I pay going to a handful of games now. Like, we've been dumbed down to the point where when I mention we've got the highest ticket prices, people don't really bat an eyelid. When I mention we've got the top 3 highest paid manager in world football, at one point with Wenger, it was the highest paid manager in world football. So how can we, charge the most for tickets? We pay one of the most for managers, but the job always seems to be get Champions League football, and we're content with that. And then on the flip side, we as fans dumb ourselves down from Isak all the way to Sesko and everything in between. Even Thomas Partey, what Thomas Partey came out with recently in that interview, if you cast your mind back to 2020 summer, was it 2020 we signed him?
Yeah.
And we signed him in the last couple of days. We didn't plan to sign Partey. He actually exposed a bit more about what the club's about. We didn't plan to sign him. He called us apparently and said, yeah, I'm available. This didn't work out. And with 24 hours to go, we got it done. But is that what our transfer window come to? Waiting on Thomas Partey to call us that summer instead of being proactive? Why do we always have to wait? Where's our plan B? If someone is not interested, taking too long to think about it, then move on. Like, this is Arsenal Football Club. At the same time, want us to go and, with a heavy hand and pay what needs to be paid for the players you want. If their players are contemplating taking a bit too long, we cannot be waiting around, because other teams don't wait around. Other clubs don't wait around. So we have been dumbed down, Jordan, because why I keep mentioning company and customers so much is because they have this club for us, but company for them in the perfect place. They can charge the highest tickets, but the fans will accept the Sesko. What other club does that? You think Atletico Madrid could all of a sudden, because I guess you liken us more to an Atletico, maybe a Dortmund, in terms of we're not the Bayern Munichs or the Real Madrid Barças of the league. Do you think Dortmund and Atletico would accept being charged more than Real Barca fans or Bayern Munich fans to watch games whilst getting third tier potential all the time? They wouldn't, but we do. This is what they bought into. That's why I'll always get onto these owners. This is what they bought into. A club that's like this with the fans. A community club that's grown to more. But the core's always been like this. You always feel connected. They took the piss with that to the point where we are now. But we're just all over the gaff. How can you pay highest prices, have a top 3 manager, but then accept Sesko? And I'm not saying anything against Sesko. He's just a young striker that hasn't proven anything. If Arteta speaks of goosebumps, I'm sorry. I look at the word goosebumps and think you're going for the upper echelon, the elite talent. That's goosebumps. But we're where we are at again.
I honestly think that all that hard work that's been done over the last few years, bringing the fans together and all that, they January just sort of smashed that up, And by the way, Tommy Fleetwood, he must be an Arsenal fan.
Why? What's he done?
Well, he led the whole of the tournament yesterday, didn't it? And on the last hole, he double bogeyed or double putted.
Well, I'm sure that's exactly what Turkish was waiting to hear about. So
yeah. So Tommy Fleetwood, he's got to be a gooner. He's got to be a gooner.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not as because I take your point, Turkish, on it's actually the way you phrased it about what other club would have kind of our stature and our achievements and accept being charged like you're basically winning the title every year. I totally agree on that. I don't really agree on the kind of just accepting Sesko, because I clearly rate him more than you, and that's fine. We disagree on that. But I think it's just the total lack of clarity in what they want to do that really concerns me. I just don't know how we are here in June, a year on, 12 months on from nearly signing him, and just like supposedly not being there on personal terms or not knowing what Leipzig want. I just wonder what's been going on all that time. It's not the one thing. Or sorry, the two things you establish. Does he want to come? And how much would it cost for him to come? And how much does the club want? Now, Leipzig might go, we want 80 million. Then you know, all right, we're probably getting him for 70, 75. That's negotiation. But that, I mean, how are we here? How are we just in this kind of, well, we'll see. Oh, well, Gyökeres a bit cheaper. Well, we'll do that. Is that not going to fundamentally change the way Arteta wants us to play? By the way, I don't think that's a bad thing. But I really think we should have established this. Thomas Partey leaving, guys, means Zubimendi is straight in the 11, which means we've had to go and reinvent the midfield again. You know, another year on, it's go again, because you've got to think, Partey barely played the 23-24 season. The season before that, we had Xhaka. Yeah, this season, we finally got Ødegaard, Partey and Rice on the pitch a little bit more together. Zubimendi, right, bam, come in. It's a new midfielder. We're going again. By the way, I've called for some change to that position. Don't get me wrong. But Partey leaving means Zubimendi's in from the very start. Now, maybe that was always going to be the case. But it's a pretty big role to just take on. We always reference Rodri as the player who actually still needed a year at Man City to kind of settle in while Fernandinho was there. So is Arteta really in the year where he needs to get everything done? Is he really thinking, yep, in my core, I want Zubimendi and the new striker who we haven't decided on, bam, and everything's going to explode from the start? I mean, maybe. It's some fresh legs and some energy would be nice, but I don't know. I've got some concerns about it all quite clearly. I think we all do. I don't really know how we're here without clarity. I mean, I saw links Martinelli to Bayern Munich. Okay, so what would we do about that? I mean, obviously try sign a winger. We know we're trying to. Is him going dependent on whether we get this winger or not? I just have way too many questions for this point. Whereas I think Liverpool fans, for example, can say, we know we want Wirtz. We know we wanted two fullbacks. Robertson now might go. So it looks like Tsimikas will stay as the backup. And I think they've just got clarity on what they're trying to do with those areas. Whereas I just think as Arsenal fans, we're really confused as to what we wanted Mark Gehi. It's come out. We wanted Mark Gehi. We need to spend maybe 40 million on him. So what's going on there? I mean, so we clearly want another right-sided defender.
And you know the clarity that it all comes down to is Liverpool fans can say we want that league again. Man City fans can say we want that league back. What do we say? Bullshit again. So I'm not even. People think I'm, anti Sesko. I'm not. I'm anti the way this club move. Get Sesko, but get the experience in front of him. Why? Because guess what? He's going to need some protection. He ain't done it before. This is a big club. We've been waiting 20 years. We've been waiting 6 years. We've been excited so long that, we're about to check ourselves into hospital, because you can't be excited for 6 years and receive nothing at the end of it. And, your head will be gone. But, this is the situation we're in. But, hey, bring in the young kid from Bundesliga, 13 goals, 14 goals, and let's hope he does it. We've seen how this ends. But like I said, Liverpool fans know they want the league again. City fans know they want the league back. Arsenal fans, we're juggling what we're given. And that's
Turkish. Would you not feel more confident? Because I hear what you're saying on Sesko. Would you not feel more confident if at least by June 15th he was in and everything you'd heard was this is the guy they've always wanted? Arteta's a big believer. In the same way, Ben White. Do you remember the Ben White saga? It did go on a good month and a half, but they were willing to pay £50 million for him. In what was our biggest sort of transfer of that summer. They wanted him. Kind of Aaron Ramsdale, they pursued him all summer. They wanted this guy, which, to be fair, kind of counters my point of them taking too long. But anyway, there's other pursuits. Declan Rice, although we all kind of believed in him as a player and as a signing. There's been certain players that Arteta and Arsenal have been like, we want them, even if we've been like, well, I don't really get that. But at least, I mean, more often than not, we've gone, oh, okay. I see it. I see what Gabi Jesus we heard about first in April. And okay, again, he wasn't officially unveiled till July, but you knew that was moving along. It was, this is the guy that they're working on. There was a clarity around it, even if we had doubts, because at the time, a lot of us thought Richarlison was a better shout and whatever. So it's not that the club can't prove us wrong on these things. We know they can, but I feel always a lot more confident when it's quite clear who they want, even if they take their time doing it. For me, it's like, but we don't know who they want, and that's really strange. But
that is the key. Is the key. Because in January they said, well, no, we don't want no one because we can't. We've got our man, but we can't get him in January, so we're going to get him now. I don't care if it's Sesko. I don't care if it's Gyökeres, whoever it is. This should have been done. Like I honestly think Sesko would be the better player. I genuinely do. You know, he's a little bit younger. He's quicker. I think there's more improvement on him. I think Gyökeres is for now, but I think over the next 2 or 3 years, Sesko is going to be a great player. But all I wanted was exactly that, like the striker coming in now, and you go, well, that's the one you want. I think at the moment with Arsenal is that everybody criticising Arsenal and all, everything like that, and I get why the people are having a go at us and all that, like, but we're very, very close. What gets you over the line? Now, if it's not the forward and it's not the players, because clearly it's not, that's what they're not thinking, then you've got to be starting looking at the manager. We don't want to be looking at that. But that's what it's going to come down to. If Arsenal don't buy the players that we think that they need, and then we go and we have a great season but don't win the league, it will all be on, well, the manager's not good enough. And, you know, give him the tools. I'm asking now the Cronkies, the board, give him the tools so that he can succeed. If he can't succeed, then we know. But at this moment in time, he went he went from January to May without a fucking recognised striker in his football club, right? And got us to second in the Champions League semi-final. And he still gets slagged off for right or wrong reasons. But at the end of the day, to be able to do that without a forward, to keep us up there, I think you have to say that's quite an achievement. So give him the tools now to go and do what we do with a goal scorer. And on top of everything, maybe we might get over the line.
Yeah, I hear it. Let's complete the squad for once. Let's not go into a season going, oh, but we need this, oh, but we need that. Even, Turkish, you referenced the Timber, Rice, Havertz summer, where we were quick, we were decisive. Certainly 2 of those 3 signings we're really happy with. A lot of people are happy with all 3. We got David Raya, clearly improvement on Ramsdale. Yeah, very good summer, fair play. But I still went into it disappointed that we hadn't added a Kudus who we wanted and a player like that. So even when we've had really good summers, I'm kind of left going, but just one more would have just done so much for us. And, you know, that summer, yeah, if we'd added Kudus, do you think we win the league? That was the year we got to 89 points. We took it to the last day. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Kudus, just that one extra player might have done it. That one extra winger that gives us something different.
That's the thing at this moment in time. If anybody would say anything, forget about the striker at this moment in time. Forget about that. What was the main thing a lot of fans and a lot of pundits were saying about Arsenal? The squad's not strong enough. We're light. And we're letting players like Partey go and Jorginho at this moment in time and replacing them with just one player. If you're letting Partey go and Jorginho go, not only are you letting experience go, you're letting the squad depth's getting less and less. We had a semi-final of Champions League. We had 4 players on that bench that have never played for Arsenal and still haven't played for Arsenal. You cannot be going and competing. We ain't even competing on all fronts. We're always competing on 1 or 2 fronts.
Yeah.
And we've got to compete on all 4 fronts next season. And you've got to have a squad. And we haven't got it. We're actually making it weaker at this moment in time.
Jordan, you was going to say something just a second ago, but I'm not sure.
I was going to ask a question. Who do you guys think was the better player, Rosicky or Nasri? Forget how you feel about Nasri and how he left. Just
for us, Nasri, because Rosicky have an injury.
I would say Nasri, yeah.
Nasri, I think, was a better player. I did love Rosicky, though.
Yeah, it's a good player.
We could do with a bit of Rosicky. We could do with those kind of players in this team.
Right, yeah, he's so tired of Sesko Gyökeres. He's on to Rosicky Nasri.
I've got nothing more to say. I'm all out. I'm all out. I've literally just avoided all Arsenal content for the last 2 weeks. I've seen the thumbnails and I'm seeing the same titles. I'm just like, no, I'm not watching any football until the season starts.
I hear you.
I'm in that boat. I am in that boat.
No, I mean, it's boring.
It is. Okay, well, let me ask you guys this. How would you replace Thomas Partey? I did a video on this on the Goonverse, and my thing was we've got Rice and Zubimendi who can play as a 6. We've got plenty of players who can slot in. We've got so many who can cover in midfield and do a job if things get things get desperate. So numbers aren't the problem, but I think we need a range of players in there. And for me, you can get another 6, but that 6 is coming in to just immediately be a backup to Zubimendi. And then we're quite limited in how we use them. I would go and get a Morgan Rogers type, a Morgan Gibbs-White type, and say, all right, the balance of the team is now, I know you don't like Gibbs-White, but fair enough. The balance would be literally going from like bottom of the pitch up, Zubimendi, Rice, Marino, Ødegaard, Waneri, and a Rogers. And between that, you can make a blend of midfields where Rice sits, but you got Ødegaard and Rogers. Zubimendi sits, but you need Rice's pressing and energy, and Ødegaard's there with him. Or actually, Ødegaard's a bit lightweight for this game. We're going Zubimendi at the base with Rice and Rogers, and you've got more physicality and power in there. Like, I would love Arsenal to, or you need more match-winning quality, and you're going to get Waneri in there because he's going to combine better with Saka, who's going to come on the inside more. Like, you can do a lot of different things by just getting a different profile in there. And I think you'll all laugh. I think we should keep Fabio Vieira another year because I don't think anyone's buying him. And I think the way we struggle to unlock defenses, I'd keep him. But I'd like Arsenal to have some options next season, to have not just, Rice is out, so Marino goes in and you're playing the same role. Zubimendi's out, so we're going to bring in a like for like, and we're going to do the exact same thing. I'd really like us to have different options. So teams are coming into games going, I don't know if Ødegaard's going to play right 8 and combine with Saka, or left 8 and actually try to get the left-hand side functioning. I don't know if they're going to play with a box-to-box midfielder or a double pivot, because Man City and Liverpool actually throw these questions at teams, and we don't. And I honestly think that's a big part of why we can get stifled so often.
I'm not actually. I mean, I wouldn't have minded if Thomas Partey had stayed and got a contract. He arguably earned it, right? But equally, I'm not annoyed that he's going either, because if reports to be believed and the money he wants and the contract length he wants are true, I don't think it's good business to give him a 2-year deal
with a pay rise, supposedly.
Yeah, I don't think that's good business, right? And although he's been absolutely brilliant this season, I think he's been our best midfielder this season, just gone. I do fear that this year might be the anomaly, and I do fear that next year we revert back to the Partey that kept breaking down. We might have got the best out of him, is the point I'm making. So first of all, I'm not gutted that he's going, although I would have been happy for him to stay. In regards to your point about options in midfield and who we should bring in, I agree. I think Morgan Rogers is the sort of person that I think would slot in and give us those options really well. He's a goal threat. He's a ball carrier. He's strong. You could play him in a couple of positions. So I'd be happy to kind of lay out 60-70 mil on somebody like him. But I think your point about the variety in tactics is also more pertinent and important. I think we have to be a lot more flexible and versatile in our midfield tactics next season as well, because I think Arteta's got very stuck in a rut. He's really got stuck in a kind of, as you say, like for like, and it can be quite predictable. Just I heard a friend of mine made a point there about the possible returns of number 10s. And how, with Wirtz going to Liverpool, Shirky going to Manchester City, even the emergence of possibly, he's a Palace fan, he thinks that Eze will be moved more central this season coming as opposed to wide. I just wonder what you guys thought about, the re-emergence of your traditional 10s, and if you think people like Pep and Slot are now going back to those kind of luxury players, inverted commas, that don't track back but can give you magic in the final third, and if you think it's something that we should be pursuing as well.
100%. That Liverpool and City, for all their success, have come up against the same issues we have, which is teams that are really good at packing out the midfield. Then they can get deep when you cross into their final third, and the only way to do it, unless you are on another level tactically, unless you are just like, not prime Barcelona, because that's overdoing. We've literally seen teams that aren't prime Barcelona go and break teams down, but it's a mission. It's difficult, and it's actually going to be these players that can pull it out, that can have a moment. And sometimes, as football fans, we need to sit here on a podcast and acknowledge we don't know what the hell we're talking about because we're just football fans. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes you also need to stop and go, actually, we've watched a lot of football and we do know some stuff. And all of us have been saying we need moments players. We need players that pick a lock. We need players that can do something out of nothing, that want to get into those central space, that demand the ball even when there's 2, 3, 4 men around them and can make something happen. And lo and behold, we've just gone and seen Pep Guardiola and Arne Slot add those exact types of players to their team. So all this, well, we don't need someone. We don't. And also, it's not just about addressing it with players. It's about addressing the position, because Martin Odegaard hugs the touchline so often. He drifts out to that side because that's where the space is. And I've long said, why? Well, but why does he have to be where the space is? Why can't we punch the ball into him where there's literally no space? Because if you get out of that, that's how the game opens up. And I always reference Barcelona in that game against Inter Milan, who kept punching the ball into Ferran Torres up front and Dani Olmo. And they scored from it because they just went, yeah, give it to me. I will make something happen, even if there's 3, 4, 5 men around them. I'm not 6'2". I'm not a complete battering ram. I'm not the quickest player on the pitch, but I'm skillful. I'm technical, and I can make something happen. Like we need that in our team, whether it's purely asking the players we have to do it, or actually adding the quality that can pull it off more often. So I agree. I think the game is moving more towards that kind of, you're trusting Flair again a little bit more. I hope it is anyway. And also you've got young managers like Cesc Fabregas who are coming up, who are quite openly speaking. He's been linked to Man City now, Cesc Fabregas. And you listen to him, he thinks the game's got too robotic. It's too system-based. And you look at the football he played for Arsene Wenger, and you can see what he probably enjoyed at Barcelona, what he enjoyed, more free-flowing, letting the players figure it out. So I think we are hopefully going towards that again.
Just on that note, he's the guy that I thought we should have got in as our assistant. I think whenever I hear him speak, the job he's clearly done at Como, I think he's the brains and the football knowledge that we need at Arsenal. I know going from a manager to an assistant is, some would say, a downward step, but I'm not sure if you're going from Como manager to Arsenal's assistant manager. That for me, I think, is a step up. That sounds weird.
No, I don't. I know what you're saying, but I don't think because he's a first team manager at such a young age in Serie A. Like I think he gets Inter Milan and Man City, the clubs that were being talked about more recently with him. I hope we don't miss out on him. Like I want to see more of what he does at Como, but I hope he's available if that conversation comes around for us. Because I'm not saying he's the one, by the way. I'd rather a Luis Enrique after he's had a few years, a Hansi Flick. Look at what, did you watch Al Hilal play the other day with Inzaghi, who obviously has just taken over from Inter Milan? They look good. There are some very good managers out there. But I'm keeping an eye on Cesc for sure.
Even the Inzaghi thing, you look at how close he came to everything, ultimately failed. But Inter Milan have moved on from him. How can they do that? They came so close. Didn't they trust the process and all of these things?
To be fair, I think Al Hilal really made a push to bring him in, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
The way we would react as fans, it just always comes back down to that, man. And with Arteta, I'm not, I'm holding him as responsible as Wenger was towards the end of his reign at Arsenal, because that's essentially what he's been given, free reign to, manage, build his process, his project, his words over the last year. So I agree with Lee, give him what he needs, what he wants, so we know if it's going to work or it's not going to work, rather than have all the excuses that come with not giving him what he wants or making it seem like he hasn't got what he wants. Because it's make or break this season now. It's make or break to the point. These questions about who do you want next? Look at the name you just mentioned. Fabregas ain't done anything really apart from have an idea, a philosophy. But even names like that are intriguing now, because over the last year it's become somewhat stale. That feeling of staleness is back again. And so far in the window, they have done nothing to avert that feeling. In fact, the window has added on to that feeling of being stale. Same old Arsenal, back to square one. Mm-hmm. What do we do from square one? We don't try and, elevate. We don't show the ambition. So whether he gets what he wants, whether I think he gets what he wants or not, it's on him to deliver this season. Deliver, make, break, do, die. This is I don't care anymore. I don't understand how we've got to this point where, again, we're accepting of things that other big clubs, other fan bases would never accept. We have trusted, we have remained faithful, we have, given time. and the club is handbrake on in year 6, in phase 6. Like James said, if they signed Sesko in the first couple of weeks, at least you could say, well, you've chased him for a year. He wanted to wait. You were willing to wait. You got him in. On to the next one. It's the whole way we're moving yet again. It just shows me no ambition. That's all it is. And the reality is, us four sitting here now, no, we're not winning the league next year. We know that. We know that here we're not winning the league, and that ain't correct. That ain't right. So what should happen? Sign players, bring in something fresh. It's the same old rhetoric every time we are feeling like this, but then the season starts, we don't do what we need to do, and then it's, well, the transfer window's closed. We can't look back now. We have to look forward. Oh, Zubimendi's injured and we haven't got a backup. Oh, that's unfortunate on Mikel, man. We might as well, write off this season as well and say on to the next one, because, who can work with this squad? I mean, he's done amazing to finish third when you consider we went into the season with 21 players. And all of this bullshit that comes out off the back of it. Deliver. Arsenal off the pitch, deliver. So on the pitch, we finally deliver. That's the goal, the aim, the bottom line of this summer and this season coming up now. There can't be nothing else to it. There can't be no beating around the bush, painting, a piece of shit like it's roses. There's none of that no more. Just deliver.
Do you know what? You are right, Circus. And the thing at the moment in time is that whatever date it is now, the 23rd of June and all that, I don't think that we're going to win the league because we've not addressed anything that has been our problems in the last couple of years. Shoot me down if you want to say it. Like, we've not addressed the manager. Like, we've not changed the manager, so that's okay. That's fine, right? We've not addressed the continuing of dropping points at home because we've not changed the midfield or we've done anything that we can turn around and go, oh yeah, it looks like we can break down teams a little bit better now by bringing in a Morgan Rogers or somebody else or of that ilk. We haven't done that. We've not addressed the goal scoring problem because people will turn around and say, what hasn't quite got you over the line? Well, we haven't had that killer goal machine up front. Like, we've not addressed that. I think at the end of it, you look at it and you go, and I don't think I'm being biased when I say I think that Arsenal are the best defensive team in the league, right? So there's your base. You got the base anyway. So it's not like drastic changes here and there, like you got. It's just tinkering with it a little bit, whether it be tactics, whether it be like 2 number 10s, as what you were saying, James, or a striker. It's not like we need major surgery. That is the frustrating thing here. We need to just get the right players in that will take us to what's been holding us back. Our home form. Have a look at the points we dropped at home over the last 3 or 4 years. The reason we didn't win the league against Man City when we went up to them toe-to-toe to the last game of the season is because we dropped points at home. They didn't. They dropped as many points away from home as us, but not at home. That is a difference. We've been a fantastic team away from home. I think we've probably been the best team in the last couple of years away from home.
Lee, we have some incredibly impressive stats behind our last 2-3 years' work.
Yes.
They just don't count for anything.
They don't know. So you've got to address them. Yeah. And here we are, not addressing them again. Whether you think it's the manager, whether you think it's a striker, whether you think it's a midfield, something's got to change for us to win the league. Something's got to change. Whether you go for the big gun up front, whether it, but and as Jordan says, it's not 8 minutes, or you transform a midfield that is very, very good, but don't win your games at home. You win your games away from home.
Sorry, I know we've got a wrap. Just would say I disagree slightly in the sense of I think we're further away from a title than we think. I personally think it's more than personnel. We can discuss this on another pod, maybe nearer to the season. There's a mentality issue at the club that really concerns me in terms of getting over the line. And in a really weird way, the way we're moving in the transfer market kind of epitomizes that. I don't think we are just a top gun man away from winning the title. I think if you put Isak into this 11, we still probably come third. I think he bags 25 goals, but really? I think we still come third. I think it's more than personnel that's wrong with this club, but that's...
I agree with the general point of it's not just when I look at last season, there's injuries, there's player quality, but we asked plenty of questions about Mikel Arteta. And then you're right, then maybe there's like a a cultural thing about the club, a mentality thing that you need to push through. But yeah, I don't think if you gave us Isak that we drop down a position. I think.
So if the season started tomorrow and we sign Isak today, you think we come above City and or Liverpool?
Yeah, I think we finish second. If our window is Kepa, Zubimendi, and Isak with no other outgoings, I'd low-key back us to win the league, I think.
Ooh.
One injury.
I still don't think we're strong enough. I think that the games will outdo us. I think we need a couple more. But
I'd low-key back us. I don't know.
I think you go to the season with the third best squad and
that's the thing.
Arguably the third best manager.
I think we have the best team, but not the best squad.
That's not arguable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's arguable third because, to be honest, he might be fourth. Because as much as a couple of years ago, we're looking at the bright side of it with Emery. A year later, okay, Emery hasn't won anything, but his resume speaks for itself. He's won things. He's won things whilst knocking us out with our manager.
Well, yeah, I found, and I deliberately avoided it, but I found the whole debate last season about who's better, a better manager, Emery or Arteta, insane. I found that discussion absolutely insane. I just didn't understand it. But anyway, that's again opinions. I
can't be bothered to enter that debate.
Even if the club, everything we're talking about is more about incomings. I think just briefly James mentioned the outgoings, but even that, everything is come by our hand round the shoulder. We can't lose him. He's so good for us. He's so nice. He grew up with us. He's 3 years in. Oh, you can't say that about him. You can't. It's all this nonsense. Be definitive in your actions. Martinelli, Trossard, get rid of one of them. Just get rid of one of them and sort it out. But instead, it's Leandro, Gabriel, ride or die for life, it seems. It's what the fuck is going on? Sort something out along the way so we can see dominoes kind of falling and thinking, that one there, when that falls, then something's coming. Instead, it looks like we want to keep Martinelli, Trossard. We're not too close to any. Rodrigo didn't start for Real, didn't come off the bench for Real. 90 minutes. There's obviously something there. He's available. It's nearly 9 a.m. The bid should be in. Move properly. The bid should be in. The next day, he's probably volatile right now. Hold on. You didn't play me yesterday at all. And the bid comes in today. Unsettle him a bit. But will we do that? Won't we do? I know Arsenal all too well under this ownership. So, in my opinion, we ain't going to do what we need to do. So, it's all good and well for someone in the comments saying it's only 23rd of June, people. Well, we're less than 3 weeks away from tour and we're less than 2 months away from the season starting in emphatic fashion when you look at the fixture schedule. So, yeah, it's only 23rd of June. And when we decide to bid for a player, they're usually in within 24 hours, right? Wrong. It usually takes 2-3 weeks after we even bid. Yeah, Zubimendi's had 2 medicals. He's had the dental session as well, I think, just to make sure his wisdom teeth are intact. So, the amount of things we have to go through. He's had the chiropractor today, I think, and when that's done, we might get the here we go because that's been here we go twice since January. So I don't know what's going. I went back to the original tweet. Sammy Mockbell in January, the original, he said it's virtually complete. The Zubimendi deal.
Yeah.
And then 5 months unfolds of everything, guys. Oh my god. Anyway, love for the love, man. Hit the like button, man.
Quick, just before we go, quick shout out to MC. I forgot where I met you, brother, but I remembered your initials. So I want to shout out MC and a shout out to Keith, who was working for a charity outside the
your initials.
Who works for
I
Saint.
remember initials. I thought he was gonna say shout out MC Wiley, Chipmunk Kano.
Nah, he told me his name because
initials.
His name was quite long, and he said if you forget, just remember MC. I was like, okay, MC, but I forgot where I met him, but I remembered you. And shout out Keith, who worked for one of those charities.
Or outside. You do know where you met him, and you're not just telling us.
Great, Mrs.
Stretched out.
Nah, this was London. This was London.
This one was in London. Okay.
And big up Keith as well. Big up Keith.
Oh, Keith was there as well, was he?
No, Keith worked for a charity outside the Sainsbury's in Vauxhall, Wandsworth. and he was a big fan of the podcast. So I said, okay,
oh, cool. We like Keith then.
Yeah, big up Keith.
Big up Keith. Big up MC. Mike Controller. Get him on. All right. On that note, people, I mean, shorter than you might usually expect, but Arsenal's window hasn't really started yet. So you're lucky you get anything. I mean, you're lucky you got 55 minutes out of us.
Less than 4 weeks before they go on tour as well. So come on, Arsenal, do the business.
Yeah, Josh don't want to see me on tour if we don't. I mean, I know already we're not going to do enough for him to want to see me on tour. So yeah, I ain't got that email. I ain't got that email saying I'm allowed into this football festival press conference thing.
Let Turkish in. Let Turkish in.
Hashtag let me in.
James, but we ain't Turkish.
James,
we ain't got it.
I made the cut. Yeah, big up Sesko. What a signing. Or Gyökeres, whoever you want. Whoever you want. The club's got this under control. Big up. See you in the presser.
They saw a
Free
couple of
Turkish. Let him in, man. Let my guy in.
Let me in, bro. Don't make me cause a scene up in Singapore, man. Don't make me do that. Anyway, all right, people, you know what it is. Hit the like button here. Make sure you're subscribed. And yeah, we'll be back when we're back. I'm going away for a couple of weeks now, so I'll probably miss the next one. But the lads will do what the lads need to do. Big up James, Lee, Jordan, Whisper It Loudly, Coolest Disabled, Lee Judges TV, Gooniverse 2. And you know where to find me, people. Turkish at the end, the Big Six. And you can find us all here. Make sure you subscribe, put the notification bell on. Love for the love as always. And we'll be back when we are back. In fact, let us know in the comments who you want to replace me maybe for the next one.
Have it.